Sometimes when the bear market is slow like this, people just take for granted what's out there and they don't have the ability to see what the future will look like. Now, none of us actually have the ability to see what the future will look like. However, you can look at things in the past and get a feel for what the future is likely going to be like. And we have this amazing thing in crypto with the halving in Bitcoin that happens every 4 years. That is set somewhat of a predictable cycle. Now, it's not completely predictable. And when the bull market pumps, it doesn't pump in exactly 4 years. In fact, the Bitcoin halving doesn't happen exactly 4 years. It happens just under that. And so the pumps have been somewhat the exact timing, not very predictable, and the exact height, not very predictable. Yet, a big crypto pump every 4 years has happened for the last 3 cycles, and it's likely, extremely likely, to happen again. And what does that mean for crypto? Well, really big things. It means really, really big things for blockchain gaming. And a lot of people aren't paying attention to blockchain gaming. Why? Well, I've learned that a lot of people just don't have what I call golden vision. And this isn't just a problem in the crypto space. For those that have followed my channel for a while, you might have heard this story before, but I had started researching how to make money since I was a kid because I grew up in a really poor family and I didn't want to be poor all my life. I realized money meant options. And so growing up in a poor family, I didn't have connections or anything like that. So what I realized is, well, hard work and learning can get you out of that whole cycle. Well, with that comes learning about real estate and real estate cycles. And I remember driving around with this well, he wasn't really an investor. He was somebody that I knew. And we're driving past this plot of land where they were building a Walmart. And he says, you see that plot of land? My family had the option to buy like that 40 acres, I think is how much it was, like that whole corner and everything for $30,000, like 25 years ago. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, the person that owned it was like getting older and offered to sell it to my family on seller financing with a low down payment and no interest. And they turned it down. Well, why did they turn it down? Well, in their mind, it was like, oh, well, it's just so far out there. There's nothing there yet. So in their mind, they're waiting for this magical moment when a Walmart is ready to be built on it, and yet somebody's going to hand it over to them to sell it to them for $30,000. No, Walmart, for like the 10 or 12 or 20 acres that they had alone, had paid several $1,000,000 for theirs, which made the other parts of the land even more valuable because like Wendy's and other restaurants, Panda Express, wanted to buy a little thing and they were willing to pay like $1,000,000 for a half acre. And so they're wanting this scenario that just doesn't exist. What the scenario really looks like is when that's available, there is no building going on there. There's just a road going out there that's dirt and another road that's dirt. And you know what? These are probably going to be pretty big roads. Maybe down the road when things get there. And that's what golden vision in real estate looked like. And golden vision in crypto looks a little bit like this. Let me share with you my screen. So last bear market, there was a project that was out there and it was called Gala. And this is what Gala looked like back then. Now, I do not hold any Gala now. I am not going to hold any Gala now because of decisions that they've been making more recently. But this is what that looked like last bear market. Now, imagine you had bought Gala tokens in here and it's trading for 0.03 cents. So this is the bear market. This is October 2020, September 2020. So there was a sector of the crypto space that really pumped that summer, and it was called DeFi summer, where a project like Aave had gone like 1,000 or 2,000x. But most of the rest of the market, nothing happened. And blockchain gaming was in that space that almost nothing was happening. And Gala was worth almost nothing. And you would have had to have a little bit of vision and be like, oh my gosh, Gala, this idea of blockchain gaming, I think that will be the future. And then in the early, well, I guess late winter, February, and then March, it really started to pick up. And then later that year, when the metaverse pump came, it really, really did magical things. But still, if you had bought at 0.02 cents, you made pretty dang good money when it went 100x, in fact, 150x to 3 cents. You made incredible money if you held till all of a sudden it went to like 11 cents. But this is what the golden vision often looks like during the bear market when nobody's paying attention and you're buying things when it's boring. Now, why do I focus so much on blockchain gaming? Well, when I was a kid, I liked games, right? So I played video games. Unfortunately, I don't like them as much as I thought I would. I mean, I retired in 2021. And during this bear market, I thought I'm going to play a whole bunch of video games because that'll be fun. And I realized after about 10 hours of video games or 12 hours of video games, I just get bored. And I'm very disappointed in myself over that because it is really good research to see what the hell is going on and stay more up to date. And I can't even convince myself to have fun playing video games after 12 hours a week, which is such a weird position. But like as a kid, I was like, what if I could make money playing video games? That would be amazing. And here I am, I can make money playing video games. And I'm like, I get bored. It's a weird conundrum. But investing in video games isn't boring to me. And here's the reason is because blockchain gaming is going to dominate the future. Now, is Gala one I'm interested in? They've been making really weird decisions. I hold no Gala. I'm not buying any Gala. Yes, they're massively retraced, but unless they redirect their focus, I just don't see how they're going to survive. One of the things I didn't like was they were selling really expensive legendary NFTs in order to play their games at like $12,000. But the only way you make any money on those is not by using the NFT to actually try to earn enough tokens in the game. That didn't really return you much. Your only hope was if the NFT really pumped from there. I don't like the idea of selling things for huge amounts and them having to pump for people to make money. I like selling them for little amounts so that the likelihood goes way up that people can make money as those sell. So I just don't like the model that Gala has been trying to do, and they've made some decisions I just don't like, and so I'm voting with my feet. Have I held Gala in the past? Yes. What am I holding? Well, one of my biggest blockchain gaming bags is Myria, and I bought 21 nodes. Was able to talk with the team, said I'm very interested, was able to open the door to those in the Discord for those that wanted nodes as well. And several of our Rainmaker family were able to participate. So when I often mention that if you're part of the Discord, you get some extra privileges, well, that was one of the extra privileges. You were able to get into the pre-sale for Myria at the node price. At the time, it was a lot less ETH than it is now, although it's still very cheap because ETH has come down in price. But sometimes I get some back doors opened up that I'm able to let those in our private community benefit from. Although I don't make any promises, those doors just open randomly sometimes and I can let people through. All right, so the token though has absolutely taken off here. Now, looking at the charts on this is actually quite interesting. It might break further to the upside. Now, if you're looking at this, let me show you the pattern. Here's what I'm looking at. Now, whether Myria breaks to the upside, here's the disappointing thing if it breaks to the upside, is it then starts to hit prices that I don't know if dollar cost averaging is any longer smart at. Now, at these prices, it's still really good prices. If it breaks to the further up to the upside, it's not that Myria probably won't do well from here. I'd say the chances are good that it still does really strong from here. But you have this challenge when you think like an investor, and that is that your best opportunity going forward to buy something that just pumped from 0.14 or 0.15 cents and say it's then trading at like 0.8 cents. So in other words, it's gone like almost 6x. Is that your best opportunity over something else? And as an investor, when it gets too red hot, I need to move to other things. In fact, I have some sell orders. If it does break to the upside, some of that, only a small position of what I have will trigger and sell. And then I'm going to move that into something else that is reasonably cheap, probably into some OMI tokens, which this is the kind of chart I like to be buying in when OMI is down like this. So this is not a sell time for me. Take profits out. When I see this kind of thing, I get excited because that's a buy more moment. Now, is Comey in the blockchain gaming space? Kind of and kind of not. I think blockchain gaming will kind of go towards collectibles in like some of the items in games will have a collectible value to them. But Comey and Vivi is obviously square in the digital collectible space and not so much in the gaming space, though I often there's a little bit of crossover there. And so I often will talk about OMI when I'm talking about blockchain gaming. But the price is good. Another one that's high on my radar is games for a living. But here's my challenge with games for a living. See this? So now, is it probably going to pump from this in the long term? Yes. In the short term, so it's already at almost 4 cents. Its market cap's at 44 million. Do I think they have one of the strongest teams in blockchain gaming? I do think they have one of the strongest teams. These are a bunch of hardcore gaming veterans that came over and created this company. They launched recently. Their token has done nothing but pump. However, their token vesting starts soon for all their pre-sale investors. And I know what that often leads to. I say the word often because it doesn't always play out exactly like it usually does. So I don't know what it'll actually lead to. I just know that often leads to a retracement. Then when the price starts falling, people get scared and start dumping, which leads to a further price retracement. That's what I look for. So even though I'm really, really interested in this game, I've not been buying at these prices. And it's just gone up even more. And it's like, okay, that's cool. I'll just patiently wait. That's what I think of. That's how I think about it as an investor. I want to shout out Ryan jumping in here first. Canius Majoris says, hey, Rain, I caught part of your stream a few days ago. The Dega token you reviewed was a good recommendation. Thanks for that one. I'm staking to earn it now. Cool. Yeah. There's a lot in this. Blockchain gaming, the space is pretty big. Another one that's really interesting to me is cornucopias. Let me show you. I own some of their token. See if I can pull up something else though that's even more interesting. Let's see, why is it doing that? There we go. In cornucopias, I like the price action a little bit better. So it's broke down from their 4.5 cent price that they reached here, and it did come down to 2.5 cents. It's up some from them, but you see this nice basing pattern. If we were to draw some lines out, you would see a line extending out from this. You would see a line going this way, and it's mostly trading sideways within that range, forming a really strong base. Their market cap's at 25 million. Let's see, only a fraction of their tokens are in circulation, so 800 million out of 3.8 billion. So it's like 1/4 of their tokens are in circulation, or a little bit less. So you're still going to have some tokens probably vesting, which will put a little bit of downward price pressure. But they have been working for a long time on this project, and I've been in, because I'm in their OG discussions in their Discord, because I was one of the first projects to cover it, or I was probably the first channel to have a video interview with them. And they gave us a wink, wink, nod, nod, join our Discord. And if you did, you actually were grandfathered into the OG discussion. So as an OG, I was able to beta test it and been able to beta test. I can't show that stuff, but the render quality is amazing. And I think if like it is kind of a metaverse, not it's more like an MMORPG, like a massive multiplayer online role-playing game that I think as a byproduct then has a metaverse. And because of that, because there will be things to do, if those things to do are really interesting, it might become one of the first used or usable metaverses that people really wrap their mind around. And if so, like this type of market cap, something like this, when blockchain gaming goes huge, and keep in mind, this is like that road, is they pave the road to it and stuff. You could think, oh yeah, someday somebody's going to want that commercial. That'll probably be a commercial lot of land. And someday Walmart or some big company will want it, maybe an Albertsons or a Smith's or a Safeway or, whatever. And gosh, it probably has some real value. So right now we're just still in the early space. So you got to have some vision, and you're taking a guess because there's not a guarantee that this is going to do well. But the prices in blockchain gaming are massively savage, massively down. And what I've been doing is dollar cost averaging into projects like Cornucopias, like Miria, not Gala. Unfortunately, I wish they were making better choices. And even then, their market cap is fairly high. And I've been, dollar cost averaging into Omi at these prices. This is one of the bigger ones I've been dollar cost averaging into. I have also put a lot of my focus the last few weeks into another project that I haven't made a YouTube video on, but there is a link to the course down below. There's specifically 2 projects. And the same company made something back in 2020 that I invested in, and I made over 160x in that. And they built these other 2 projects that have come out after the 2021 bull run. And so everybody's sleeping on them. Nobody is talking about these 2 projects except our own Rainmaker family Discord. And if you know what I'm talking about, don't bring it up, please. Take the course. It's discounted all the way down to like $9 or $8.99 right now. So the base price is actually $89.90. And with the 90% off, it's just under $9. Yeah, it's worth your while. You'll see what I'm talking about. And if you do that course, don't sleep on them. Something you want a dollar cost average into them. It's got a fairly movable floor. And the family in our Discord, like the Rainmaker family, we have been buying them. And so it has raised the floor a little bit. But it's something to pay attention to over the coming weeks. The prices things are at, even still to today, there's no guarantees that it will do well. They're so low. It's super high priced intellectual property, yet everybody is sleeping on these projects, and they're missing out. But I did put it behind a gate for those that really want it. Take the course. It's funny when you make the investment in the course by not only your money, but the time to watch it. And it's a half-hour worth of video. You'll see why it's big, and you will get the bigger picture, and then don't sleep on it. All right. Michael Vick, thank you, brother. Smile J, hi Rain, wasn't expecting a live stream. This is my favorite channel. Thanks for all the knowledge you share. I appreciate that. We are creating something special here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I was thinking about this as I'm writing the bigger course. Like most of the bigger courses already produced, and right now you can get that bigger course for it's $399 and you get 50% off. It will later be priced at $999. It will have a few extra add-ins at that. But as I've been working on the marketing for that, I've been thinking, about the bigger problem of why so many people do poorly in crypto. And it's actually been on my mind the last 3 months. Like, why doesn't everyone get it during this bear market? Why aren't they loading up tremendously? The bear market is showing signs of turning to a bull market, and these sectors like blockchain gaming are massively undervalued. How do people not get it? It's like you can see a real estate boom coming, and you have a chance to buy that land for $30,000, like my friend. You can see the boom coming, and you pass on it because there's nothing there. And then the roads get built, and then there's houses close by, and oh my gosh, it makes perfect sense to put a Walmart there. And then, you turn that $30,000 into literally probably 10 or 12 or 15 million is what all the pieces of it probably would have been sold off for. And totally passed up on the opportunity of a lifetime. And yet they didn't recognize it when that opportunity knocked on their door. Just like so many don't recognize the opportunity that's at our door right now, and they're passing it up. But part of the problem is, there's massive misalignment in incentives for those who talk about crypto on YouTube and other video platforms. And that is, if you are creating a YouTube channel and you want to grow it, well, in order to grow it, you have to talk about what's hot, what everyone is searching for, what's on their mind. What's the problem with that? Well, if it's already on everyone's mind, Why is it on everyone's mind? Well, because the price is already pumped. The price is already up 5x, 10x. Like the project I just released a course on, is anybody else talking about it? No. Have the prices pumped? Just a tiny bit from our own community within there, but it will actually come back down because most of the rest of the crypto space is not talking about this. And so the opportunity there is now. And if I made YouTube videos on it, would it get hardly any views? It'd get almost no views. And that's cool because what we're creating is something special, which is a community that understands the principles of investing. It's not going to grow the YouTube channel a lot, but one of my goals was to create a community of people who do very, very well. That to some extent, you're really only attract this channel if you kind of already get economics and other things. Otherwise, you'd not be here because you'd wonder why I'm not talking about Solana after Solana has 5x, in the past few months. And why aren't you talking about Solana? Oh my gosh, Solana is going to go crazy from here. It's going to go to the moon. And I would get way more traction if I were talking about Solana right now. When did I say Solana was undervalued? When Solana was at $20. I was like, pretty good price. I think Solana is going to get a lot of momentum. Making a video about it back then wouldn't have led to a lot of views. Making a video about it now would, but it's a much worse time to buy. And so that's the massive misalignment in incentives, that if you're trying to make a lot of money through growing a YouTube channel, you need to cover things after they've already massively pumped, which then misinforms people, doesn't help them understand the timing of when to buy. And then 95% of people get wrecked. So what if we just did it a different way? And we talked about things when they're really cheap, and then watch the audience do well, and build some through referrals, build some, like the courses are a fun way that there's a little bit of monetization for me. That's cool. That's fun. But more importantly is the ability that when people invest in themselves, they actually take the education and information way more serious. So, yeah, that's an interesting part of it. In the course, I noticed that people who paid the really low price sometimes didn't finish the course, but everyone who didn't put in the code or forgot to put in the code, or they didn't want to put in the code, that paid the full amount for the course, every single one of them watched 100% of it. So you see, the higher the amount of investment, the more serious people take it. And anybody who sleeps on those picks, telling you, they're missing out. There's not been like a better chance. Like, I'm a big fan on Kucoin, and I think Kucoin is going to be a home run. But when I saw where price had gone to on this, I can't say I've seen a better risk versus reward ratio this bear market. And prices have come up a little bit on some of those things, but just on some of them, and only a little bit. Prices are still massively, massively undervalued, and they were cheap before. All right. Any thoughts on Tectum? Blaze, what else can you tell me about Tectum? I don't know anything about them yet. Appreciate your content, Rain, one of my favorite crypto channels. Thank you for that. We are doing something different here, and we will see how that goes. I do think it kind of repels people who don't already think this way, and that's okay. That's okay. We're trying an experiment towards a different way. Like, we're not experimenting with these principles. I know these principles work. What we're experimenting with is a channel teaching these principles and what results that will lead to. And I really think that these results will lead to something that will be legendary historically with the crypto space. That nobody's really talking about crypto Rain very much right now, and the Rainmaker family. But what if the average viewer does 100x or 200x or 300x? Then everybody will be talking about us, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Now, will that happen? It depends the extent that people learn and live by these principles, right? And what guesses people make, because I don't tell you specifically what to buy. I just share with you what I'm buying, why I like it, what are the risks that as I see them, and what are the pros as I see them, and sharing those with you. And then you kind of do your own research from there and make your own decisions. How about animal concerts? Eric, great question. Let's definitely talk about that. Hope you filled your IMX bags already. Well, I got a little bit. No. So we'll definitely talk about IMX too, because that one is hot on my mind. And it's still probably a good price, though I haven't looked today. So let's jump over to animal concerts. So Realize this one is risky, but Doctor of Stuff reached out to Animal Concerts and they did make a CEO change. I don't know what that CEO change was all about. I haven't been able to get an answer on that, but companies make decisions like that, right? So sometimes the CEO needs to leave because there's other opportunities more important to him. And so and Colin Fitzpatrick, like cool guy, and I don't know why he stepped down or whatever, if they asked him to or if he needed to for his own benefit, I don't know. But the project is still continuing and their market cap is really, really, really cheap. So we don't know what their actual circulating supply is, but their fully diluted market cap is $2 million. So that means probably with the amount in circulation, there might be a 200,000 or maybe a 600 or $700,000 market cap. Now their narrative is they have connections with Robin Thicke and Alicia Keys and other artists, and they want to set up a situation that they can then do concerts with all these artists in the different metaverses. So, and if so, then then their token will pump. Now, the specific tokenomics, supposedly, you pay for the tickets in their token. Whether that's going to end up being a good use case for the token, I don't know. But here's the thing. If they end up hosting some concerts in the metaverse, then especially big concerts with big artists and in fact, especially if it's some of the earlier concerts, then probably their token, as metaverses go big again, people are talking about metaverses, then Animal Concerts, if they've survived the bear market, will probably do extremely well. It is at a risky point, just like Kucoin was 4 years ago when it was probably like getting into the bear market. And they're like, man, I don't know if we're going to make it through this bear market. I wouldn't be surprised if the money that they raise, they're kind of slowed the flow on that, outflows on that, so that they're minimizing how much expenses are flowing out so that they can survive this bear market. And that would be just smart business and normal. And as long as they're doing that, hopefully they'll withstand this bear market. And when the market flips around, something like this could go from here 100x or 1000x or 3000x, like Kucoin did last bear market into the bull market. Now, will it happen? I don't have a magic crystal ball. I can't see the future, but I'm still bullish on this. And I'm still adding coffee money amounts to this. Coffee money is like money you would use for coffee that you can totally afford to lose. Am I throwing like $5 or $10 or $20,000 more into this at these prices? No, just like for me, coffee money is actually a higher amount than it is for most people. I might drop in $100 or $200 or $300 into Animal Concerts just every so often at these prices. All right, so let's definitely look at IMX and see what's going on, because this one I think is one of the biggest plays in the future. Oh shoot, they're all the way up at, holy frick. Well, good call for us to look at it. Yeah, I just have one word to say about that, and it's called damn it. I like cheap prices, and this is not cheap. Is IMX worth more than 92 cents? It's worth a lot more than 92 cents. But I bought some, actually. It turned out to be right at 52 cents. So I bought some, and I'm hoping to fill up my bags on this still. But it's not helpful when it runs up to 92 cents. Hey, Michael. Yeah, bear markets are hard, and the truth is, a lot of people on YouTube, they don't know investment cycles. They just have a microphone and a video, and they've been like talking about crypto for a while, so they've garnered some kind of audience, but that doesn't necessarily mean they know what they're talking about. And so they start fighting on it, and oh my gosh, and this and that. There are plenty of reasons that would have driven you to sell Microsoft at the lows 25 years ago, or even Google at the lows 20 years ago, and Amazon at the lows 20 and 15 years ago. Like what, maybe 18 to 20 years ago. They really went through a hard time around 2000 through 2005. I can't remember what specific years. It might have been 2001 through 2005. And Amazon And, if you had listened to the FUD, you would have been selling at lows and missed out on the later highs. So you have the right mindset, and thankfully you think the right way, that you've withstood it, because it's hard and it does wash out a lot of people. And you should congratulate yourself, right? Yeah, you're literally counter trading everyone else. So as they're flooding and they're exiting, and like OMI prices are dropping down, it's buy zone, massive buy zone for me. At these prices, I get super excited. Now, could OMI fail? Yeah, I don't see why they would, but any business can fail. Some accountant could steal all the money of the business and crush the operations, even though everything else is going well. So realize sometimes businesses fail. I'm just taking bets that I feel like the odds are stacked in my favor. And for my analysis and my research for OMI, I'm taking that bet because I feel like the odds are stacked in my favor, that its chances of failing are lower than normal. And if it does well, the chances of it doing really well are way, way up. And so, um, yeah, I'm immune to people that are fudding at these levels, just because before crypto, even I had done 20 years in real estate investment. My mentor in real estate literally said, basically the way he would decide to buy in a market, because he was worth over $100 million. And, you know, 30-40 years ago, 100 million was worth a lot more than it is today. It's still a lot today, but back then it was worth even more. In fact, if he still has all those holdings, they're probably 10x up from there. So when he would go into a new market, and if he would get his hair cut there, and he would ask the ladies cutting the hair, "Hey, what's going on with real estate? Is it a good buy?" If their answer is no, it's terrible, then he actually would stick around. He'd extend his stay and he'd look for good buys. If their answer was yes, it's amazing, everybody's doing it, and I have 2 properties and blah blah blah, then he would actually leave the market and have no interest in it. If he had properties there, he would then sell them. And so it really is a thing of like doing the opposite of what 95% of people are doing. And if people getting their hair cut are FOMOing into something, like, or people that are cutting hair who really don't follow this stuff closely, if they're buying and talking about how it's the most amazing opportunity and how I'll never go down, then it's really late in the game. If they're talking about how terrible it is and how horrible it is, then it's probably a good time to buy, because public sentiment is way, way down. Price is way, way down. And look, if you're taking your financial direction from the person cutting your hair, you'll probably end up about where they are in their financial lives. Camster, just hoping the Coinbase team is in talks with exchanges, has everything ready to go. I do know that a lot of the exchanges aren't listing a lot of new things right now, or they're not making it easy, and they're just being cautious. And it's because the SEC went so hard after Binance, and some of that's been smacked down, but still there's ongoing litigation there. They went after Binance, they went after Coinbase, and that Coinbase thing is unresolved. And so a lot of these exchanges, even Kucoin and stuff, they're just being very cautious. So they're cautious on listing anything new in general. Can you get listed on it? Not at very good prices. If you force it, you can, but it's not a time for them to worry that much about it. Yes, okay, Bitforex can be a bit of a pain. There's a few other exchanges. Is Bitforex really easy to use? Not particularly easy to use, but it works pretty well. I've never had problems with deposits or withdrawals on it. If you don't have an account, there is a link below for Bitforex. I use it for buying OMI. I don't use it for selling OMI because I don't really sell OMI. I'm just accumulating more. So I am making more money on bear market with Caspa, GFAL, Hello Miria, Area SDEX. We have had a pump on blockchain gaming, right? A little bit of awareness. Now, sometimes these pumps retrace, like you're seeing it on Miria right now. Like that's exactly what this is. And I don't know what really kicked off this, other than they did a partnership with a new game, and maybe that caused it. But if this breaks to the upside, it will break up. And part of the reason I'm selling here is because this kind of pump doesn't always continue unless the greater bull market starts. Now, could be that the greater bull market really kicks off and it keeps going from here. But at this point, it won't truly be taking profits. I'll just be redistributing to other things that are still massively cheap. And I would only be selling off like, 15% of what I'm currently holding. And what I'm holding is tokens that I've gotten from my node distributions, right? So I have 21 nodes. So I pay a certain amount per month. By the way, another benefit if you're in the Discord, if you do get Myriad nodes, we have we negotiated with somebody to run the nodes for anyone that's interested for $17 a month. For you to run the node by yourself and have to manage it, you would pay for the virtual private server if you go that route, $20 a month. So it's cheaper than what it even costs you to have a virtual private server yourself. And that's just because the bulk discount that we negotiated. And I'd be more than happy to connect you up with that person. So yes, I have 21 nodes and it distributes about 1.3 million Myriad per month is about what I get. My ongoing maintenance, if you think 21 times 17, I think I pay 357 a month to have it managed. So I don't love making that payment, but I love the 1 point whatever million tokens I get. So at these prices, 1 point something million is about 5K a month. Now that's cool, but I didn't buy the nodes for 5K a month. I bought the nodes because I expect in the future the price will be much, much higher for Myriad. Now, if you've been a long time follower of the channel, you probably have heard the story that when Myriad, before it was launched, so one of my friends that is deep in the VC space and talked to a lot of the companies in the early days of them. In fact, he talked to Myriad and he's like, oh my gosh, I love this company. They have a really strong team. I like their vision. They've got some of the things that Gala did right, but they've tweaked some things that Gala maybe could have improved on. And Myriad's doing those from the beginning. They have their own layer 2, and the CEO behind it is really, really cool. And so he was super on fire about it. He reached out to me. He's like, Rain, you got to take a look at this. So he connected me up with their CMO and we scheduled a time to meet. And then the CMO was like, crap, I can't make it. I'm supposed to get married and it's just getting too tight on this. So let me have you talk to John. And I was like, sure, I'll talk to John. I didn't realize John was the CEO. And I talked to John, the CEO, and I was like, this guy is profound. I peppered him with really hard questions and he just hit them out of the park. And I was like, who is this guy? So while I'm talking to him, I'm Googling him, realize it's the CEO, that he's a billionaire already. His family owns a major telecom in Australia. He's actually been in Silicon Valley and done a lot of VC investing in Silicon Valley, been done very well. And I asked him why games, and he said, I've always been passionate about games. One of my goals in life was to later be heavily involved in the game development cycle. And I knew with blockchain, the timing was right. And I really liked that answer. And so I was like, I think this Myriad thing it's got good leadership. I think Jonathan Teo is an amazing leader. And even though I haven't seen a single public interview with him. They're a very private family. They're a very smart family. Sometimes you see a really smart businessman like Jonathan's father. Sometimes they don't pass that on to their kids. They don't involve their kids in the business. They just kind of give their kids money. When I met Jonathan, I was like, this guy is superbly intelligent and very effective communicator. I think his dad put a lot of effort into really teaching his son all the skills that his dad had learned. All right, let me check out. Yeah, good to see you doing so well with Caspa. Yeah, Caspa's been on a tear. GFL, Hello. I'm staying away from Hello. It's just too much of a meme coin thing. Now, I do like their, and maybe Hello does really, really well because they're doing that kind of, it's like Shark Tank, but crypto version of Shark Tank. It's got crypto banter and it's got, I think, altcoin buzz and some other people on it. It's got Wendy O. And fun, right? And the filming is professional. It's got Scaramucci on it. So, some big names in the crypto space and good production. And that will create buzz. But the predictability on it is lower than I like because what is the tangible product and how does it relate to the token? Let's see what the price is doing on this as we're talking about it. It did recently release to, I think, So it came out in November and it was trading at 0.6 cents. It's now at 11 cents. So I don't touch it at these prices. I want to see boring. It's not boring. You're starting to see it come together, and maybe it totally keeps pumping from here. If so, that's cool. I just don't chase boats that I've missed, and I've missed this boat. If I had it, would I be taking some profits here? Yes. I wouldn't be selling everything, but I would absolutely be taking some profits here in case the greater bull run doesn't happen. And there would be redistribution profits in that I would be rolling them into other things that are cheap. And maybe I look back and be like, oh crap, I would have done better if I had just left it in there. Now, I often tell the example of Axie Infinity and how, the land that I bought for $4,100 over the next 18 months did absolutely devastatingly poorly. And then the following 6 months went back to about what I paid for it. And then, so 2 years after I bought it, then it really started to take off, and I sold it 100x. Though, unfortunately for me, it went like 3,000x from what I paid for it. So it did another 30x on top of it. But so it seems like I only made 400,000 on that. That's not fully the story because I rolled that money into other things that did at least another 3x for me, if not even higher. Why? Because, I wasn't exiting from the space. I rolled that in. It was too early. I was rolling that into other stuff still. And it probably made me more. That other 3x is just a conservative guess. So I took that 100x and then rolled it in some other things. It did somewhere between 3 to 8x additional for me. I'm buying Bumper. Good price, Art. Yes, I do like where the price action is at on Bumper. Some people, first of all, they were a strategic partner for the channel. One of the questions is, oh my gosh, Rain, what happened? Why are they not a strategic partner of the channel? And that's because our deal was only 3 months. And it was always just 3 months. We still do have a strategic partnership with Chain, which has been a good long-term partnership we've been doing for like a year and a half. But from the beginning, the deal with Bumper was just for 3 months. And they're not spending a lot on marketing right now. They are spending a little bit, and I encourage them. They're advertising on Defiant, which is cool because Defiant has a lot of ETH maxis. Now, on my channel, what we're interested in, or at least I'm interested in, I can't say what everyone is interested in, is the Bump token. Because if the project comes together and does well, then the Bump token will likely go crazy. And so you do get this big double bottom pattern, and it's playing out nicely, and it's at a really amazingly juicy price. But for the best bang for their buck, for getting more total value locked, they need to advertise on channels with huge ETH maxis, because huge ETH maxis are the ones that are going to want to use the protocol. Now, if you notice in the recent interview I did with them, now is this blockchain gaming? No, this is just risk versus return, and one of my favorite risk versus return ones. But it's still a risky space, right? It's in a pretty risky space that who knows. In talking to them, they have many of you might not have caught it. If you're not in the private Discord by joining the Patreon, you might not have seen the private interview with them, that they have enough money for the next few years for cash flows. And so they have the ability to withstand a bear market, even if it goes for a couple of years more. So that's a strong place to be for Bumper. Sorry, thought I was showing the numbers, but you all couldn't see them. But see how there's this nice double bottom pattern, and it's currently trading about 3.3 cents. So good one, Michael. God's entry was right in the bear market. The bigger moves are made. Superstar money. We had some fun today. We had final 5 finalists and finally gave away 1 million OMI on our Who Wants to Be a Millionaire contest. Bear market or not, we can still have some fun today. Yeah, good point. I didn't know about that giveaway. That's cool. Be good to have God's entry in your channel. Great trader knowledge. I have had him on my channel before. It was about 6 months ago. One of the challenges with day trading, so this just came by observing things, and I look for efficiency. So here's what I look for. I look to take bets where the returns, I look for strategically, where can I get the most amount of money for the minimal effort required to maximize efficiency. So I thought day trading would be important in that when I was new in crypto. And I thought that for about 2.5 years. And after 2.5 years, I then had kind of figured out who was really making money in crypto, who wasn't, how were things going. And especially by 4 years in. And I realized the people trading on a basis like frequently, like making trades, most all of them were not the people that were rich in crypto. In fact, myself and lots of others knew very little about technical analysis. And yet we made a fortune while our friends that focused on all this TA and were supposedly really, really good traders made far, far less. Like I have a friend that had almost no losses in 2020 and 2021. So, yeah, but his total gains were like 60% from over 12 months. And at that point, when we were talking about it, my total returns had been like 13x, even though I used to invest in even riskier projects. So literally half my portfolio from the bear market, my first bear market failed entirely. Why? Because I was still narrowing down which risk to take and which not to take. So half of them failed entirely. And yet at that point, I was up 13x and went a whole heck of a lot up from there further. And yet he had almost no losses, but he had only made 70%. He had made 0.7x. And then I thought, man, if he only made that much and he's as good as he is, and he's created his own trading signals and all this stuff, I don't want to be anywhere near that. Do I really even need to learn technical analysis? Because this fundamental analysis combined with minimal technical analysis skills, some people get in the TA side and they actually miss the forest through the trees and they flip and they miss the much bigger profits. Ed Jones says, Omi needs time to build. Got to let them cook. I still have conviction, however, be time. Reese even said himself, there are hurdles, but when everything falls into place, it will be beautiful. Agreed. I really like the direction, is least what I understand it with the VV-verse in allowing people to share out their own space on their socials. I think that'll, I love the videos that people are already making in their vaults. If they can make it easier to construct stuff in your vault and let people actually into your vault to see it and share it, like to look around and stuff, I think that will augment it. I think that's a great place for the VV-verse to start as they then later expand into this bigger VV-verse. Hey, Game Trove, what's going on, brother? Really good to see you. Game Trove is one of our private Discord members who also has his own channel. And he's been doing a huge service to me because he's been playing a lot of the newer blockchain games and he researches those, plays them, gives you his thoughts on what's good and what's not. I tried to get in that space. I just couldn't focus on it, do a very good job. And so he's absolutely hit it out of the park in sharing what's going on with those and frequently keeps me abreast of some of the smaller independent games. Axie Infinity at one point was a smaller independent game and, became one of the biggest games in blockchain gaming and actually became the 10th highest played game in the world for a few months. And it was just a small independent game to start with. I recently heard that Solana's going to have their own ride sharing app. Where do you think other ride sharing startup companies, what compared to what Drive is trying to do? Well, Drive is starting in India, which is a great place for ride sharing to really start at. There's a lot of ride sharing that goes on in India. It is a competitive market. Hopefully they can survive this bear market and into the bull market. Well, they will naturally catch some traction. And so it's fine if there's like competition coming into the space. That's fine. Now, does ride sharing really need the blockchain? No, it doesn't. That's one of my concerns with it. Now, the specific franchise model that Drive did is really, really interesting, We've never seen tokens used for that kind of use case. At least I haven't before. And it's interesting. Does ride sharing need the blockchain? No. But if they're charging people less for rides and the drivers make more because they're using technology to reduce their overhead, well, then that creates a value proposition for both the riders and the drivers. So they create a win-win situation. So as long as they can afford to deliver that technology and do a good job managing it, then, and if they can survive the bear market, then they might have a very profitable business. So I'm not too worried about competitors coming into the space. I'm just concerned about if Drive survives. I still have a really big bag of that. It's down from what I paid for it, which is cool. That's right. I'm holding it. I did take a little bit of profits because Drive at first pumped when it came out. So I don't know that I'm fully upside down because I took some profits on that. But like when I'm buying in the bear market, I don't worry so much when I'm upside down. For example, I started buying Cardano last bear market at 11 cents. And then went down to like 8 and 9 cents and 8 cents and 7 cents and 5 cents and 3 cents. And I kept buying all the way down. I missed the very bottom at 1.7 cents. Stupid story as to why I missed the very bottom. I had 10,000 set aside for that, but there was other reasons. I tried playing with leverage on Bitcoin and it went poorly for me. And I used that 10,000 to replace the Bitcoin I had just lost rather than my plan, which was to buy Cardano if it went below 2 cents. So that decision literally cost me like, let's just say $1 million or more. Oh, well, you'll probably have some decisions like that to talk about, as well as hopefully some decisions where you did make millions and more. Because if you're in a space like this, you will have missed opportunity stories, as well as hopefully not just missed opportunity stories. All right. What else is on my mind? Well, let's look back at Immutable X. That is quite an impressive chart. Immutable X, made by Gods Unchained. Gods Unchained was one of the investments I made in the last bear market, as nobody was talking about blockchain gaming, and I suspected that blockchain gaming would be absolutely huge. I hold, I think, every single one of my cards still, but as an OG holder of their Genesis cards, they airdropped you Immutable X. But the token price was falling massively, and I realized, yep, they got major token investing happening. The price is it's heading into a bear market. The price is going to follow the floor, so I sold. So I've been looking to re-enter and get my position. I sold at about $6, and some at 5, 6, 5, and some at 450. Okay, so it's still way below what I sold at. That's cool, but I'm just looking for a good entry, and I made a little bit of an entry. Yeah, when it got really cheap here at 52 cents is what my entry was. But I still have a lot more to go just to get back what I sold. Cool. What other games are on your minds? There was one I said we would look at. Let me look that up. Tectum. I was hoping you would tell us a little bit of details on Tectum. All right, let's take a look at Tectum. So $8.55. I always like it when they go with higher total supplies than this. So there's 10 million max supply. It looks like just under 1 million is in circulation, which leads to a very high token price, which throws off a lot of people that are new to crypto. So I always recommend that game founders go with bigger token supplies than 10 million. Because then the token price seems so high and newbies just don't know. They think, oh, that's expensive. I'm going to buy OMI because it's at 0.1 cents, or I'm going to buy Immutable X because it's under $1 and that's at 850. And they don't realize the market cap of this is far below Immutable X. They think Immutable X is actually cheaper. They're like, oh, Immutable X is a bigger thing and it's cheaper. They don't realize it's not actually cheaper. Just the per token price is cheaper. So it looks like across the space, there's a bigger game. And I'm going to assume that this is in blockchain gaming, though. Okay. Well, they say they're the fastest blockchain for all industries. Is that true? Tectum is the world's fastest blockchain, a lightning-fast distributed ledger powering the superconductive digital financial environment of the future. Get Wallet, so they have their own wallet. I would like to see some authentication about how they supposedly have the fastest blockchain in the world, because I know Devio can do 8 million transactions per second, and I don't know if anything else can do anywhere near speeds of that, so they might be making a claim that might not be true. Let's read. Tectum was developed by Chris Mind, a Chicago-based software development firm with decades of combined experience and a focus on quality, cost-effectiveness, and customer ease of use. We leverage the expertise of a top-notch team of international developers. Our solution found applications with a number of key clients ranging from government organizations to individual customers. I just want to see more validation for the claim that they're making. We support solutions for business. Let's see what that says. Crypto solutions for business. Do you own a business, want to be an early part of future payments? So it's probably what their wallet is about and making payments. It looks like soft node accepted. I don't know what these are. Maybe businesses that are using their stuff, like solar installation company, Queensland Solar Lighting, Queensland sounds like something out of Australia. Interesting. Let's look back at price. Don't like how they did their token. Not enough tokens in circulation. You can buy it on X markets, which I haven't used X markets in forever. You can buy it on Uniswap, MEXC, Bitmart, BitGet. Okay. So when their token is pumped all the way from the bottom here in October at $3, so it's got almost 3x. I'm not sure what's caused it to pump, and I would need to know more about it to say that this is interesting, especially after it just 3x'd. I just don't buy green candles. And let me share with you kind of how I think about it. Imagine you're at a dock, right? And what people will often do is they will jump off the dock to chase boats that have already departed from the dock. So they're already going out to sea, and they jump off and they swim after that thing to catch it, meaning the price has already run away from them. I don't like to do that. I like to buy when it's like nice and cheap, and sometimes it then gets cheaper on me. That's okay. But I like to load up at the ones that are at port, refueling, rearming, getting all ready again, and buying cheap. And that has worked out really good for me. Now, can I say that I have chased boats in the past, and it led to some good learning experiences? Not as profitable as I would have liked it to be. Now, sometimes when I chased, I made a little bit of money as soon as if I took profits fairly quickly, but mostly it led to losses. And I didn't realize, it took me a couple of years to realize that most people with YouTube channels were talking about stuff that had already pumped. And so buying stuff that were being covered by major channels, it was probably already late in the game, especially if I checked the charts and looked at it, usually confirmed that yes, it was way late in the game and it was a terrible time to buy. Ed Jones, have you checked out WAGMI Games, Rain? Well, actually, Game Trove has done a lot of research into WAGMI Games, and he is a big fan. Well, here's the thing. Is blockchain gaming probably going to do well? Yes. And if it does well, if things survive in the meantime, they'll probably do really, really well too. If you look at the pattern that this is on, if you were to draw a line down like this, it's actually stayed within that and probably going to get cheaper here. Is it a bad buy if it gets cheaper from here and comes down 50% from where it's at? No. But now, I guess it was like a meme coin that then the founders like exited and the community took it over, and they're trying to build something meaningful from there. It's not that that can't happen, and that would be really cool if it does happen. The hard thing is the community is essentially working for free, building that stuff, or almost for free, because they're trying to build value in the tokens that they have, but they don't have much funding to really build that with, right? So it's kind of an uphill battle. Now, can armies win uphill battles? Yes. Do I like to bet on armies that have an uphill battle they have to fight? Only if I'm like, man, this army is so exceptionally well led and they're so well trained. But even then, I'd rather find ones where they're fighting a downhill battle. So that's why I'm just reluctant on this. Their market cap is at 20 million. Their fully diluted market cap is at 25 million. So I like that most of the tokens are in circulation. I would love for this one to do well because I love the challenges that they would have to be overcoming for this to do well. And that would be, honestly, that would be picturesque for them to do something like that. That would be worth a movie. And so I would love it. That would make a fantastic story in 8 years from now, and have Leonardo DiCaprio play one of the people, right? And yeah, that could make a really cool movie. Good suggestion, Ed. That's just my thoughts on where it's at. Could it do well from here? At some point, it will break this pattern to the upside. I just don't see why it will break it now, especially after. It could actually just punch through this and then start swinging up. But it did pump massively back in earlier in July, and probably it's going to go through a bigger retrace. I don't know what led to this massive pump, but it did go from the bottom here, so it went about 7 to 8x up and then retraced. Yeah, it is one to keep an eye on, and just the community. It's hard for me to keep track of everything. Part of the reason I created the Discord and the closed community, and yes, it is gated, and right now the entry level is $19.99 a month. In the future, I will be raising that to $50 a month, and everyone who comes in at this price, you're grandfathered in, and that's the entry level price. There are higher levels, like our gold members pay $99 a month. In the future, that will go up by a lot. But essentially, our gold members can reach out to me anytime, and I try to prioritize getting back to them usually within the day, and we have quite a bit of chat. And yes, I would say on average, the gold members have done better. Why? Because I share them my thoughts, like as they ask the questions. In fact, sometimes, they're asking me about something and I look at it and I'm like, oh man, no, I agree with your assessment on that. So, it's been a good win for the gold members. It's been, I like it because they're making an investment in their own future, especially even at the entry level. The stuff we've been discussing in there this last month has been absolutely fire. And yeah, I think people are going to find out down the road how much they're missing out on, and that the $20 a month was just a screening mechanism to screen out people and screen in people that will be serious about their future. Kind of like when I used to throw the parties and I would charge $20 for the parties. I then used the $20 to buy food and stuff. I didn't actually make money on those parties, but the $20 acted as a screening mechanism so that when people came, they were just more invested in the party. It also weeded out just the complainers that nobody wanted to hear from anyway. And so our Patreon, essentially that $20 weeds out all the people that say the dumbest stuff, right? So you'll see in YouTube comments, or you'll see in free Telegram groups, some very unintelligent conversation oftentimes. You know what you won't find? You won't find that in the Discord. Why? Because it costs $20 a month, and unintelligent people don't invest in themselves in that way. Yeah, I was hoping that that would weed out the kind of discussions we weren't looking for, and it did that even to a better degree than I'd hoped. I don't mind FUD as long as it's well backed, well educated, sound reasoned FUD. That's not what a lot of FUD is. A lot of FUD is just emotional panic. And it's not like I won't mind having that discussion, but what I'm talking about is the people that aren't intelligent enough to realize their own arguments are pure emotion and not logic, and then they just want to argue and fight with you about things. Nobody needs that. All right. Well, Are there more things coming? Yeah, I mean, let's look at Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is now the OG. Yes, I was an early investor in Axie Infinity. I can say it was very risky at the time. I can say I saw that one coming, though it was risky. Their token wasn't launched till later on, and yes, as the landholders, if you bought the Genesis chest, you were airdropped a bunch of their token. Essentially, they gave me like 20,000 of their tokens. So at the top, that went to, I think it went higher than what it's reflected here. It's reflected here $157, but I think it went actually higher for a brief period, maybe as much as $200. So what's 20,000 tokens times 153 dollars? That's I think 3 million had I held to the top on just the tokens they are dropped me for having the land. That's what can happen when things go right for you. I look forward to many of the stories from you guys having that, because we are going to have some things. We are in a bear market, and most people have kind of lost their vision, lost track. There is not general FOMO, and that will come back. And you will have celebrities talking about blockchain gaming. You'll have celebrities talking about different things. In fact, I was just on Randy's stream, and we were talking with Vivi Magic, who met, what is her name? She's a celebrity with 4 million followers on Instagram. Hefner, I forget her first name, but 4 million followers on Instagram. And she's actually kind of following Vivi Magic and Vivi Magic's thoughts on Omi. We're going to find a lot more of celebrities following crypto way more closely and talking about it way more closely as the FOMO gets real. And that's when people will come in and drive prices. I mean, look at even these charts. This is what bull markets look like. So sometimes when people are like, oh my gosh, we just went up a little bit, should I sell? And it's like, well, if you're rearranging some things from something that's massively up into something that's down, yes, but I'm selling when I see this type of behavior, because that's what a bull market does. And that's an exciting time. Cool. Well, that's some of my thoughts. If you haven't already done the course on, there's two courses below. One is the Zero to Crypto Hero. If you haven't done, that's the bigger course, and that is the one that the cost is going to go up a lot more in the future. Right now, it's $400 with a 50% off coupon code. That's 2.5 hours of video. I will be adding some more to that before I raise the price to $1,000, and probably even do some advertising and other things with it. There's a second course that also is very worthwhile, and it's very cheap right now. So essentially it's $90. You can get 90% off of it though. So you pay what, $9 or $8.99 for it. And it's two projects that everybody is sleeping on right now, except those in our private Discord community. We're talking about that quite a lot, because nobody on YouTube I've seen with any type of following is talking about these two projects. It's massively good intellectual property that everybody is sleeping on except our community. And it's going to, I'd say there's a really good chance our community absolutely rocks it. So if you haven't broke down, paid the $9 yet, pay the $9. Do it. You know, if you don't love the course, let me know and I will refund you. I think you'll take the course and you will absolutely love it though. You will not want the refund. So yeah, I guess for any reason, if you don't like it in the first 7 days, message me and I'll get you a refund. But yeah, trust me, when you take a look at it, listen to the background I give, listen to the background that I give behind it, and what, so I like patterns that are repeatable. So there is a pattern. Will it repeat? Well, there's no guarantees the pattern will repeat, but there is a pattern that it's following. It's one that made me a bunch of money in the past, and the same company has released top intellectual property with two other things, and those things came out in the bear market. So the prices have only gone down, and they've gone massively down to prices they should have never hit, but yet they're here. They're at those prices, and the prices are too ridiculously low. And when I saw what the prices were currently at, I was like, oh my gosh, this deserves a mini course in and of itself. And I'm going to charge a really, really low fee so anyone can afford it. But that way, with the fee, people will not sleep on this, because once you have some money invested into it, you take it far more serious. And that's why it's discounted all the way to $9 so that anyone can afford it, but that you have some skin in the game, because I'm telling you, don't sleep on the research on these. It'll be worth it. All right. Yeah, Blaze. Cool. It's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this next bull market. A lot of our Rainmaker family is probably going to do exceptionally well. I'm looking forward to the stories that are going to come out of our own community. I can say the more you invest in our community, whether it's the Discord, sure, you can join the Telegram for free. There's great people in there. It does cost money for the Patreon. The more you put into your own investment, the better it goes for you, because it really puts your subconscious in line with the direction you're going. Why? Because you're actually putting money out towards it. So sometimes free is such a cheap price that people don't get serious about it. Yet people go out to a restaurant and they spend 40 bucks at the restaurant, but yet they won't put $20 a month into something. And so their subconscious then doesn't help them out. But when you start putting money into things, it's amazing how it aligns everything, and you just make better decisions. Why? Because you've got money in this. Your subconscious says, I have to make this work out. And so I put these different mechanisms in there to help you help yourself do better, because I really make my money from my own investments. Do I need to do any of that charging thing? No, but if I don't charge something, you won't value it as much. And so I have to charge something. And that's why it's there. Pyre, good suggestion. Let's take a look at that before we wrap up. Been thinking recently about how big a Web3 World of Warcraft would be on the blockchain. Yes. Are you aware of any World of Warcraft quality MMORPGs coming to the blockchain? Now, World of Warcraft is probably the #1 MMORPG of all time. Not aware of anything that looks like it's going to be at that level yet. Probably down the road, something like that may come. But even Blizzard can't replicate World of Warcraft's success. If they could, they would have a competitor to it. They'd be launching something new, and still they have massive numbers of people still playing it. So it is one of the greatest success stories in gaming, and made Blizzard probably billions of dollars. I don't see anything yet at that level. Could cornucopias do that? Not based on like the game quality. Like the game quality is really, really good, but they really nailed it out of the park with cutting edge technology and pushing the envelope, and it coming together just right with storylines that people liked. And so cornucopia is one of the leading projects out there. But that's just such a high standard that like it wouldn't be fair of me to say, oh yeah, it's at that standard. Almost nothing is at that standard. I mean, Blizzard can't even make another game at that standard. So no, cornucopias isn't at that standard, but nothing else in the world except World of Warcraft is at that standard. So let's look at PYR. The Vulcan Forged. I'm curious what the price is at. Okay, so it has pumped some recently from 270. So this is another one that I wish they had done more tokens than 50 million total supply tokens, with 27 million in circulation, because then the token price seems high. And it's just that there aren't that many tokens out there. So the market cap is 127 million. So it has pumped from its lows in October just a month ago. So we are seeing a bigger pump in blockchain gaming. And what's interesting is if we were to chart this out, it actually broke to the upside. In fact, let's chart that out. So PYR Forge versus Tether. So first of all, it's right back. Notice it's got a whole bunch. Oh, let me share this tab. Notice it's got a whole bunch of resistance right where we're at. Let's see if we can look at it on a 4-hour chart. There we go. I'm seeing a little bit better clarity. So right now it's at this really, really strong resistance and it's having trouble breaking through it, but it might have punched through it strong enough that it might then be off to the races for a little bit. Next resistance is going to be at 520. And if it breaks through that, well, then it's like 750. Now, it got pretty cheap in here. This was the range it was trading in for a long time. So hopefully it comes back down and continues back in this range, bouncing off this floor about 270. So I guess it would only come down 40%. Is it pretty cheap? It's pretty cheap. Vulcan Forged, I can't say I love their website, but they are building a lot of games. Essentially, they took games that people already kind of play and they put them out there so that along the lines of games people are somewhat familiar with like Vulcan Runner, which is like what that little runner game, and Tower Defense. And so that was a smart way to quickly get games on out there. The question is, will they develop higher interest games over the long term? So that's a great way to kind of seed their gaming ecosystem with games. But how good are the future ones going to be determines whether Vulcan Forged has a future or not. They have some history in that they've been around for a while, and that helps. So as long as they're using their time effectively in building good games, their timing and positioning as well, and that they've been building during this bear market, if they come out with halfway decent stuff leading into the bull market, I don't see why they wouldn't pump tremendously. And their highs were 10x over where we're at now. So they pumped with the metaverse pump. In fact, a little bit after the metaverse pumped in 2021, and they're still 90% discounted from there. Something like this could go to market cap in the billions, maybe even tens of billions. So might be a potential upside of 10x up to a 50x or 100x, depending on how big it goes. Now we're talking Cetus Heroes. We got to look at the price on that. Oh, here, shoot. Sometimes I hate the way it's set up with StreamYard now that I sometimes miss switching over the screen I'm looking at. My apologies, everyone. I'm trying to get better at that. So my screen is reflective of what I'm trying to share with you. Let's take a look at Cetus. Cetus, unfortunately, their Senate token is what specifically I was buying, and I wish I had far more of it because it just went absolutely crazy from when I was talking about it. Let me share the screen. When I was talking about it down here, and I said it was massively undervalued, and I called it a buy on our buy, wait, or sell, and it's gone 4x from there. So am I happy about the 4x from here? Not particularly, because I bought some, but not as much as I wanted, and now it's 4 times more expensive. So that sucks, but it's a good problem to have. Mr. Bud, yeah, I like it. Cetus, I really like Dan, the CEO behind Cetus. He's very focused, and so is his team. And they built a good community, and they built some games that are playable and cool right now. And so I think he's doing things right. I think this is going to lead to something better. Look, their market cap is still dirt cheap. It's only $6 million. It just 4x. It was at a market cap of $1.5 million. 6 million, is that still cheap? It is. It's just a little bit hard to buy it after it just went 4x because sometimes it retraces. But you are seeing this for whatever reason, some kind of blockchain gaming pump in general across all of these games have been going up. What's the deal with Omi? Well, I suspect that the deal is that there's a couple people that no longer work at the project. One, I guess, has ended on pretty bad terms. I don't know the full situation with that, but they hold billions in tokens still. And I suspect that one of those people is selling because the token has gotten really cheap. And So Bitcoin's gone up. And sometimes I think what happens is if you hold Bitcoin, you might be selling Bitcoin for, um, or selling OMI for Bitcoin in order to roll it into Bitcoin. So that may be what's happening. So that might be it. I mean, look at this price. Now, as I was sharing on Randy's stream, great. I get excited about this price. I want it to go down more. Now, is Kucoin probably going to do well in the coming bull run? I sure hope so. That's why I'm buying such large amounts of it. So do I want it to go down or up in the short term? Well, I want it to go down. I wish it would go down even more than this. Why? Because I want more even cheaper. So I'm not asking where is OMI's price going to be in 2 weeks from now or a month from now. I'm asking where's OMI's price going to be when the greater bull market goes crazy. And so that's the point I'm more interested in. The short term, I hope it does nothing but go down so that I can buy more. Now, there's some case where I don't want the token to go down because I'm really concerned about the team surviving the bear market. If it goes too cheap, then they'll have like no money whatsoever because sometimes, they're still vesting tokens for the project and they sell those off to get some money liquid. And if the token goes down to like zero or really, really cheap, then they can't raise any additional capital with the tokens that are vesting to them. And so then they run out of funding. So your best thing is the token price doesn't go down. Well, OMI's not in a position like that. I don't know that they still need the token to do well. And so I hope that the token price goes way, way down because it wouldn't interrupt the survival of the company itself. All it would do is allow me to buy more OMI cheap. And I'm all about that. Hey, Rain, have you looked in the Jewel token by DeFi Kingdoms? Just a little bit. Let's go over to DeFi Kingdoms. All right, so their price is absolutely savaged, which I like to see. I like that. I like buying cheap. So already it's starting to look somewhat interesting to me. Let's look a little bit deeper. Their max supply is 125 million. I wish this was a higher number than it is, 125 million, but at least it's more than the 10 million of one of the projects we looked at. So it'll have a lower price per token. Looks like half of their tokens, almost over half, are in circulation, about 57%. So their market cap is 7.7 million. Well, that's interesting. Let's look at how good their website is. Okay, so it looks like a kind of basic animation MMORPG combined with like card games, which is cool. I struggle a little bit with card games because I never really learned how to play them. So I suck at them, even though I bought a bunch of Gods Unchained and I actually played a couple times and absolutely got wrecked. So it says 40 plus feature releases, 60 plus developer AMAs, 15 plus governance votes, 700,000 plus heroes summoned. Check out how the DeFi Kings will continue to grow with new features. So it looks interesting. Partnerships. So Coinbase, one of their partnerships, that's a big deal. Avalanche. So I wonder what kind of partnership. Are they on Coinbase? Let's see if they are. That is really good news. No, I don't see that they are, at least at this point. So they're on Trader Joe on Avalanche. They're on MEXC. So I'm looking, if you scroll down below on CoinMarketCap, it'll show the exchanges. And it's not always completely accurate, but it does show CoinX. Looks like a bunch of swaps in DeFi Kingdom. Interesting. Cool. It's kind of interesting to me. 11 cents especially. The price has absolutely gotten savaged. They're down from $12. So they're down 99%. Gosh, this is absolutely at a minimum a coffee money buy. Wow. Yeah, fantastic suggestion. Play through games. I would say, gosh, yeah, very interesting. Look, sometimes people think a game that's pretty basic like this can't do well. That's not the case. Sometimes they do exceedingly well. It just has to do with the gameplay and how interesting they are. It doesn't need the most amazing graphics to do extremely well. One of the games, what's it called? Did a lot of, gosh, it became one of the biggest games, not Eternity. I don't remember. But gosh, the graphics weren't that good. It's still around today. I think it launched somewhere 2006 or 2011. Huge following, and yeah, the graphics weren't all that great, and yet still people love the game, absolutely love it. So, yeah, it doesn't need to be better graphics than this to do really well. It just has to do with how good the gameplay is. All right. Well, those are some of my thoughts today. I want to go live, join with you all. I don't know what this bull market looks like. I don't think it'll come in 2025. I think it'll come sooner, probably next year, possibly with a blow off top late next year, though who knows? The market usually takes the most amount of money from the most amount of people. So if everyone's expecting it to pump later this year, then it probably won't do that. I don't know how this will play out, but I know I'm waiting to sell when things go massive and I go to get my hair cut and people are like, oh my gosh, do you hear about this crypto thing? And I bought this land in such and such metaverse. And oh my gosh, it's the biggest thing in the world. And what is the indicator to you when that happens? Yes, be taking profits. Yeah, I appreciate, I really love it in the comments when people give me more fundamentals because I can't follow everything. So Playthrough Games says, I've been in it for a year, great community, still in development. I love to hear that kind of stuff because I'm just one person. I can't keep my eyes on everything. Part of the reason I did create the private Discord is even last bear market, like I had some things do exceptionally well for me, but I missed out on other things. Why? Because I'm just one person. And I was overwhelmed last bear market with the number of good deals and trying to keep track of them all. And crypto's gotten bigger since then. And so I thought if we had a community, it would lead to actually really good discussions. It has. And a lot of the discussions on stuff like this and able to share much greater alpha. Like you'll see in the private Discord, people chatting with really substantive analysis on projects that they like. And so just get a lot smarter from very smart people's opinions in a somewhat curated space. It's been good. So Playthrough Games, appreciate the extra alpha on this. Would love anything else that you share about it. Do you know what their relationship is with Coinbase? Some people use relationships or partnerships quite loosely. Is definitely of interest to me if Coinbase is an investor in them. Part of the reason I invested in Gods Unchained was they were backed by Coinbase, which led to them when they were struggling because ETH trading fees went crazy and during DeFi summer of 2020, and they're like, we need to make our own chain, which led them to making Immutable X. Well, it's easier to do when you're backed by somebody like Coinbase that not only has funding, but all kinds of connections. So backers, like true backers, if Coinbase is an investor and partner DeFi Kingdoms, is a big deal. And if so, I would rate this myself. I'm actually even more interested in it, especially if they're a backer behind it. I'm already interested in it at the present prices. It does say in the partnerships, sharing the screen Layer Zero, which is an interesting discussion being had in Avalanche. I haven't invested in Layer Zero, but yeah, I don't know who Clayton is. Synapse, name sounds familiar. I don't know Wisdom Labs. Rome Blockchain Labs, I don't know. George from Crypto RS is an advisor for them. I don't know that George knows blockchain gaming that much. Maybe he does. He hasn't seemed to delve that much into it. He's got a really big channel, and I actually like his stuff. I listened to about a fourth of his videos. I feel like he's a straight shooter, and I appreciate that from him tremendously. So if you can tell me any information on Coinbase, that would be of high interest to me. If you know the answer to that, that would be cool. All right. I'm going to exit with our wrap. Let's see. Thoughts on VV on Immutable X? Never whatever happened to that narrative. Neither company really mentions or promotes the other publicly. VV needed to go with something like Immutable X. They did not want to be a full public blockchain. They wanted to be Immutable X, somewhat of a curated blockchain. You can't just mint stuff on Immutable X. It's a permissioned blockchain. So you actually have to go to Immutable X and work out structures with them. And so what really VV has to make sure is that you can't go around through smart contracts and cut out the licensing fee. That would probably lead to huge lawsuits. So imagine that they had moved everything over to ETH, and then you had that one site where you could then trade without having to pay the like 5% or the 8% fees on like Bored Apes and stuff, and you could swap with having those fees removed. Can you imagine the lawsuits that would entail if VV went to something and then Disney was getting cut out of their 6% they're supposed to get? That would be a huge mess. And so on Immutable X, probably the right partnership for them. They're able to mint for very, very low fees. A lot of companies aren't talking really deeply about things. If you notice, the project talks almost none about their token right now. And that's what you want from them. Why? Because talking about the token, all that's going to do is increase their exposure to the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission. It's really important a lot of these lawsuits happen. Like Coinbase hopefully wins their lawsuit. I think they have a substantive, with the ruling that's already come out, with the judge saying that people trading crypto projects on an exchange does not equal a securities contract. I mean, that bodes well for Coinbase already. Let's say Coinbase is able to get their lawsuit dismissed, or they win the lawsuit and the judge smacks down the US SEC further. For now, it's kind of like when the machine gun is firing, you keep your head down. So notice they're only talking about collectibles and partnerships, nothing that would raise the attention of the US SEC, because that can absolutely ruin a company. Even if the company's in the right, not every company has 200 million like Ripple did to fight the SEC. So if you get a lawsuit from them, it can destroy your business. So they're not talking too much about Immutable X and tokens. Notice they don't mention Nakomi token hardly at all. They're not really talking about Immutable X that much. They're just keeping away from the blockchain narrative and keeping their head down is my guess. Immutable X is the right place for them to be. I think that partnership's actually going really well. It's not surprising that they're not talking too much about each other. We need Dan and Dave. Dan to keep building the VVverse, Dave to keep making great licensing deals and bringing great collectibles to the users, and the OMI token price will later take care of itself. All right, everyone. Yeah, fun to have you join me on a Sunday and just this live chat. Okay, yes, thank you for that. Okay, not as good as I would have liked to see it, but yes. So sometimes companies use this very loosely. So if they're allowing it to work with the Coinbase wallet, sometimes they then consider that a partnership. And in loose sense of the word, it might be, which is a very different story from like Coinbase invested in the seed round of the project, which is something that would be really highly attractive to me. But it's still highly attractive to me at that price. Where the market cap is and with what that chart looks like, it's highly attractive to me. All right, everyone, have a great Sunday. I'll leave you with our Rainmaker rap. Enjoy.
Came into the space chasing all of the games, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, right before you could, was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. Buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I'll always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I'll sell when it's high, I'll buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. Principles are simple, believe in a lot. buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, but time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Thinking out this wrong could soon become a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow would be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, say the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.